Hello again team, it's Jess or JashiiCorrin and welcome back for another video. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different and showing you what my current planning system looks like. So how I've been planning really only for the past 2 weeks. As always, we're going to cover the questions asked on my last Thursday video, though that one was actually posted on a Sunday, given general tiredness during the week and a vast underestimation of the amount of time that video was actually going to take me. If you hadn't already seen that one, so the 12 themes for 2021 video, I do recommend going and checking that out. That page was a lot of fun to set up and I think it turned out pretty good. Starting with our questions though, our first one came from Vicky who asked, I've recently started bullet journaling and I'm finding it hard to figure out what to put in it. Habit trackers sound like a good idea, but drawing them out is difficult. Are there any pre-printed ones you'd recommend? Also, I'm trying to keep tabs on my mood. Do they do a tracker for that? I haven't used any pre-printed ones myself, though I know that a few people sell stickers and printables for them. A straightforward recommendation I'd have though would be to use something like Microsoft Word to make yourself a table that you can print off and stick in. Otherwise, there are some relatively straightforward habit trackers you can make without having to draw out anything complicated. Some examples can be found in the video that I had for these different habit tracker styles. It's an old video, but it might be helpful for you. And yes, mood trackers are certainly something that the community likes. Typically they involve either colour or a symbol to show what your mood was for the day. So overall, were you in a fairly happy mood or just like an okay or content mood? Were you angry, sad, that kind of stuff. This can be quite straightforward with just like a little box for each day of the month and you just colour it in. Or you can have this a little bit more decorative, so like the one I have here, where I have a Christmas light for each day of the month. There's a lot of fun ways you can play around with mood trackers. Our next question came from Mary who asked, is there a type of spread you'd recommend for health monitoring? It would really depend on what in particular you wanted to track, so like what type of information, whether that be qualitative versus quantitative, a tick box versus writing a note. But most of the types I've seen are a combination of a habit tracker style layout with a section for notes. So the habits are actually different common symptoms, and in the notes you can write any kind of explanatory details, so things that might have triggered something, any symptoms that were out of the ordinary, etc. Something else that would be good to have would be having a way to record the severity of a symptom. So if we take headaches for example, you could have like a mild headache or a severe headache or anywhere in between. Either with color coding or maybe different symbols to represent that. As another general tip though, if you know that your symptoms are linked to something else in particular, so for example what you're eating, the amount of water or movement or sleep that you're getting, having that information either included on the layout or on a layout that's nearby in your journal would be a good idea. Hopefully that helps. As I don't have one myself, this is really just what came to mind, but if anyone else has any ideas, please do leave them in the comments so we can check them out. Jennifer asked, are you and Vogel exchanging gifts this year? We certainly are. Vogel is a big believer in gift giving for birthdays and Christmas, even if it's just something small. This year I've gotten him a couple of things that I dare not elaborate on, just in case, but we'll be exchanging gifts on Christmas Day. Our next question came from M. Kazumi who asked, I really fell in love with your channel with daily plan with me videos. Will they ever be back? And I also wonder, have you ever visited Catalonia? New Zealand is actually the furthest place you can visit from here. My month of planning with me series certainly will be back at some point. I just don't know when at this stage. It's hard to find a month that I can actually guarantee that I'll not only be around for pretty much all of it, but also not busy. The last one was during lockdown, so I certainly had enough time and was guaranteed to be at home to film, edit, and upload those. Hopefully we can have another one at some point during the first half of 2021, but we'll have to wait and see. And no, I haven't been to Catalonia, or actually anywhere in Europe apart from England, but that was when I was like 5, so... One day though. Sally asked, 1. Among Us, please explain, and is there a way for this team to play together? And 2. From this video, I'm really curious about your YouTube journey. At what point did you decide to show the world your journal? Why? Who inspired and encouraged you to do it? I thought about it in the past, partly because I hope it would hold me accountable to using it, but I worried that I wouldn't stick to it because of the time involved, and I really don't know why the world would want to see it. So first question first, Among Us is kind of like that game Mafia or Werewolf, if you've ever played that. So where you have a group of people and certain members of the group are not who they seem to be, or essentially people who are working against the rest of the team. In the context of Among Us, it's a team of 10 little spacemen, but either 1, 2, or 3 of them, depending on the game settings, are imposters, or people who aren't there to help the team, but are instead there to kill other members of the team. What the crewmates, or non-imposters, have to do is figure out who those imposters are and kick them out before they kill everybody. That's a pretty brief explanation, but it is a lot of fun. I know that the phone app version is free to download, and there's a free version on the internet, I think through something called BlueStacks. Maybe? I personally have the paid version through Steam though. And yes, there certainly is a way we can all play together. In the description box below I have a link to our Discord channel, and every so often either myself or others post links to Among Us games that you can play with other people in our channel. So essentially somebody posts the game code, you put the game code in on your app, and then you can play with those people. It's a lot of fun. And for your second question, I've actually answered this one before, so I'll leave a link in the description box to the video where you can find my response to that one. In general though, it was like a, I could do that kind of a thing. And in terms of inspiration, I think at the time the biggest one probably would have been Bohoberry. I can't say that my YouTubing in general has really held me accountable to my journal. My month of planning with me videos certainly do though. And in terms of who in the world would want to see it, I think there'd be a lot more people that would be curious about it than you might think. I'm constantly surprised by the number of people who check in with my videos. And grateful. Very, very grateful. As always, thank you to everyone who asked a question last week. If you had anything you wanted answered in next week's video, please do leave that in the comments below. Now, as you guys know, my planning systems this year have been a little bit hit and miss. I know that's pretty much true for everyone, but mine wasn't really to do with the pandemic, which I think has been a main contributor for most people. Mine was more about trying to balance multiple planners and multiple planning systems. I'm not going to do much reflecting about that now. That stuff is going to feature in the video I have coming up tomorrow, where I talk about the planners that I'm going to use for 2021. But I thought it would be good to mention just as a bit of context for how I'm planning now. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that I love to try new things in my journal, and one of the things I consistently like to experiment with were my weekly spreads. Not too long ago, that was the purpose of my Thursday videos, to show you guys how I was setting up for the week coming. Back at the start of August though, I decided that, after a fair few weeks of empty spreads, using weeklies and even writing tasks in my journal in general wasn't really working for me, so that's when I transitioned to Notion. I'd started to see this come up a lot with some of the YouTubers that I follow, and thought it would be a cool thing to try out. The nice part about a digital planning system is that you don't have to rewrite tasks that you want to move to different days. You can just change the date of them. Also, mistakes are easily rectifiable. You just delete whatever you wrote and rewrite it. It would also be accessible wherever I was, whether that be by computer or by phone. But the main perk was really just that I could have one long list of tasks that I could then sort into different views, whether that be a today and tomorrow view, view by task category, etc. I still kept my monthly trackers and logs in my bullet journal, but all of my to-do tasks, events, and notes/thoughts/musings all moved into here. My system here in Notion has come a fair way since I started using it. Really, when I started, all I mainly had was the life dashboard, inspired by Michelle B on YouTube, a to-do list, and a calendar. But now you can see I've got a bunch of different things down the side here. So moving through those fairly quickly, we have the life dashboard, we have a section for goals, a section for projects, my to-do list, my calendar, the weekly reset template, the monthly and quarterly reset templates, thoughts and musings, routines, YouTube stuff, Instagram stuff, my teacher planner, a personal home section which just comes with Notion, a collection section, a wedding plan section, checklists, journal, and then my saved templates. I don't necessarily use all of these, and some of them are still a work in progress, but in general, my planning system in Notion worked well for a while, but eventually even then I started finding that the system really wasn't. Really, I wasn't checking in with it, and I also was quite missing having what was essentially a record of productivity. Something that showed, yes, I have been getting things done. Which leads us to my LT 1917. 2 and a bit weeks ago, my friend Rachel gave me 2 journals, so this Lemome, this journal, and this LT 1917. I really just wanted something that I wasn't going to be too precious with, but that I could use to write out my daily task lists, notes, etc. So that's what this journal has become. As you can see, it's not very fancy, and I do try to be neat, but I'm not too worried about mistakes. Heck, I even made a mistake right here on the very first line of the very first page. All I've really been doing is writing down a simple header for the day's date, and then under that I list out any tasks, events, that kind of stuff. If I think of any tasks that need to be completed in the future, I write those down with a little exclamation point, and then at the end of the day I'll write out the header for the next day, transfer or add any of the tasks that need to be done, or that I want to get done, and I'll also try to make sure to transfer any of those notes that I've written down into the relevant places in Notion, just so that I have them all together for reference. So far this has been working well, and it's been really nice to actually write physical lists again. So, it's good to not be so worried about making the layouts what I could say is like social media worthy. So far so good, and I will be continuing this system up until the end of the year, but when it comes to next year, that's when things might change just a bit. As I said, I'll be talking more about my 2021 planner system in tomorrow's video, but I do hope you found this one interesting. If you did, please do make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and if you wanted to see more from me, feel free to go check out one of my other videos. Until next time, bye!